Record.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
Um, so yeah, everything in Lebanon just felt like it was meant to be in a way, because like even the mushrooms, we didn't seek it. It came to me and my friend, some guy randomly
It
in the
sought
camp.
you.
Yeah, some random guy in the camp came and he offered it to us, and then we're like, yeah, let's do it.
Hell yeah.
And like,
Although I have to say my public service announcement, you should not do it under, you should know yourself because although safer than other things, everything has its things. You could not have a good trip and, continue.
yeah. And so when I did my research before about psychedelics, I knew that it was like so much fun and like you get trippy and everything is so vibrant and like you see patterns and all of that. But my experience was a little bit different, and the way that I was just hearing my inner voice the whole time, and it felt like we were having a conversation and recalling a lot of the events that happened throughout my life, and a lot of things that I was like holding and I never made peace with it. And
Interesting. So they just started coming up for you because that's kind of what EMDR therapy does. It kind of goes through cycles through certain that's its kind of healing mechanism is it cycles through
yeah,
memories, and so that's what it was doing. Okay, continue. I'm gonna throw
yeah,
this way.
like that's clearly what happened. And the entire time everything was so pale, and I was like, I was hearing my inner voice, but I was also like looking, and everything was so pale. And at a certain point, I was like, okay, if these things happened, then I'm okay with it now.
What do you
It's
mean?
in the like it felt
Oh,
like it's in the past, and I can't. And they have been
oh,
holding.
okay. So you reprocessed it in a different way.
Yeah, exactly. Like my perspective on them has totally shifted. And then, literally, the moment my inner voice says that I accept what happens, and if my first experience in psychedelics is just gonna be pale and not that interesting, then I accept that as well. Literally, this moment, everything shifted, everything became so vibrant, everything like was blooming. And so, like,
That's
when
so
it was,
beautiful. You had a shift. You had a paradigm shift right before your eyes.
yeah, like literally, and like even after, I felt my body felt different. My It felt like even the way I see things and how I felt about myself was so different than before.
Can
Um,
you tell us a little bit more about that? Because I mean, it just happened. So a lot of times when people do these things, they feel such a rush of not always, but oftentimes they feel some healing. They're going into it with an intention. They want to get better. Um, and not for you, but usually people walk away from that and they don't integrate a lot of what they learned,
mm,
which is one of the most important parts. So continue.
yeah, so for me, after I came back from this trip, what was so clear to me is that, okay, like it feels so scary that I'm doing something so different from the others. But it's okay. I felt more motivated to do traveling, even though it didn't really,
All day, all day.
even though like it kind of was in a made me in a conflict, especially with my dad, because he has always been against what I'm doing.
Still?
Uh, yeah, still, totally.
Come on, Dad. It's all good.
Um, but then a couple months after I came back from Lebanon, I wanted to go to Europe.
Love Europe. Going next year.
Oh, I'm so happy for you. And then, like, my favorite artist was on a tour in Europe, and I had a couple friends that I met in Egypt who were in Europe as well, and just it felt like, okay, I have to go to Europe. And I didn't even have like a solid plan. I just had a start and end date, and I just went.
Okay, good. Say that again.
So yeah, I just didn't have a plan except for a start and an end date for the trip.
I love that.
And
That's how I like to travel.
yeah, and just like I booked the place for the first 4 nights. Um, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna see how things gonna go there because it was also COVID time and I couldn't really plan things ahead because every day was like something was changing with restrictions. And then I went there and I didn't know, but it was like a party hostel. It was my first night, and I'm usually like shy around new people. I don't really like, I'm not that, I'm
Wait,
not,
where were you? What country?
I was in Barcelona.
Barcelona.
Yeah. And
Love
then
it there. What's the name of that main street? Las Plant Ramblas. Ramblas.
Las Ramblas. Yeah.
Shout out to Las Ramblas. They have some cool people. It's like the Venice boardwalk over here, over there.
Yeah. The hostel was really close to this area.
Yeah. All
Um,
touristy. Also Gaudi. I hope you went to see Gaudi. Gaudi? How do you say it properly?
I don't know.
The artist with the swirly um, buildings in Barcelona.
The cathedral.
Yeah, he. Oh, La Sagrada Familia. No, that's
Yeah.
a separate one. Yeah, he has a. Wait, is that his too? I have to look it up. But continue.
And then so I went there. So I usually like I travel to India on my own, and when I went to Europe, I went to on my own. And so when I went there, I didn't know anyone,
Yeah, that one's Gaudi
and
too.
I was like sharing a dorm room with people that I'm seeing for the very first time, and I was like so anxious about it. And then I went out to a cafe to do some work, and I came back and I saw like all of people drinking and getting ready to go out. And I asked, "What are you doing?" And then they were like, "Oh, we're going out. The whole hostel is going out." And then I was like, "Okay, I will join." And so I remember like being so shy that everyone was walking. I was a little bit in the back and trying to have like a small conversations with people. And then we went to this bar, and then this girl came to me, and then she was like, "Why are you sitting on your own?" And then we just started talking.
Wow,
Um,
lucky you. That never happens.
huh?
Hey, so many guys want that to happen. That never happens.
Yeah, lucky me.
Yeah, they're all like, "Fuck you." That never happens. Some girl
Uh,
just came out of nowhere and said, "Hey, are you by yourself? Let me save you."
yeah. Well, she kind of did because so she came to me and we started talking, and um, I think I didn't know how I can't really remember how the conversation went this way, but she said things that are so remarkable to me. And so what she said is that she told me that I'm amazing, and she's so happy and excited for what life is holding for me,
Aw, bless her heart.
which was like so sweet. And I didn't even know how to respond to that because no one has ever been that sweet to me, and it just felt so genuine from her.
No one ever?
Not really, or like
Somebody's
not
somebody's
until
gonna be
this.
mad at you. Somebody's gonna be mad at you.
Well, anyway, and then I ended up
But
like having
that was
an
the first time you really felt like genuinely somebody cared about you in that way.
yeah, and someone just telling me that when we just met for like less than an hour, and they are not expecting anything from me.
They're just being nice.
They were just being nice. um and this has been running through my mind because I remember a couple of days after I went to see Monolink, my favorite artist in Barcelona. I had some sort of a breakdown the day after, and I was even journaling about it. And then I was like, I don't know what, like, I was laughing and eyeballs crying at the same time. It was like a really weird feeling. But it was such a really good cry, I would say. I was journaling about it, and then I was like, oh, people are so nice to me. And yeah, it was just a really good feeling because I wasn't that nice to myself. I've always blamed myself for the things that I said or the things that I did, or for not pleasing my parents and meeting their expectations and being like the reason why the relationship is not working and all of that. And then, like, during this trip, I just met random people and they would all be so nice to me. Like, I remember meeting this old lady in Germany that we just randomly started talking. Um, and she was also really nice to me. And we're still in contact. She, like, considers me as one of her kids. Um, so when I came back, I was thinking a lot about it, and I did some more reading about like spirituality and traumas and all of that. And then I was like, okay, it's so hard for people to agree on something, but on this trip, I got a lot of things that I've never really had before. And
How long was this trip?
it was for a month.
For a month?
Yeah.
4 months? Or a month?
Yeah. 1 month.
One
For
month, okay.
1 month. Yeah. So these people must have seen something in me that I probably never saw before. And if
What
one
do you think
person
that
did
was?
it, I would have said that maybe they were just nice. But if it happened with a couple people, then there is probably something.
There's probably something there.
There's probably something there. And
Was it
then
questionable? It sounds like a question.
it was not a question, but I feel like for so long I was just so stuck in the narrative about like how unworthy I am and how like my existence is just a problem and I wish I could vanish and things would be better if I wasn't there and like all of these things.
Did you see the video I posted with that guy that was talking about how he exactly that kind of he didn't want to be there. He wanted to like, he didn't want to die, but he didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
It was like that.
And yeah. And I feel like a couple years ago I could really relate to that. But luckily not anymore. So, and
So you
so
were
I
saying
started,
if one person can see a change, then maybe others can, and maybe you should start looking at yourself differently.
yeah, I should just start to looking for these things that others see in me that I've never really like looked for before. And I think that for quite some time I was trying, but I didn't really see it until I got in this relationship. Because at the beginning I filled that up like that would that is something that would never happen, especially with this person. um but then it happened, and it was like, that is so unbelievable. And I feel that for some time I was so worried that it's just like a summer fling, or that it's just something that she would realize later that it was a mistake. Um, but then I felt so safe around her, and even when I met her family, it felt like finally I belong somewhere,
Oh,
you know, because her parents were so amazing to me, and they've always really like they would tell me and then show it to me that I'm a part of their family.
that's nice. That's a loving feeling.
Um, so yeah, it was like really something to me because I never really had that feeling before.
Yeah.
Uh, so this made me really like see myself in a totally different way, that I'm like, okay, now I'm like, there are a lot of good things and I can actually change the narrative is that goes in my head every day. That like it went from like you're so unworthy, you're so like whatever, to like, okay, you're doing good, just be patient with yourself. I have been trying to develop more sympathy with myself. um and so yeah, it's been such a really long way, especially that when my therapist recommended taking antidepressants, I was totally against it.
Why?
um because I asked him if it's gonna be like a temporary thing, or if I'm gonna like have to live with it for the rest of my life, and he said I will probably have to live with it for the rest of my life.
Why did he say that? What did he see that made him say that?
So when I went to him, I was like, I s- I went to him for the first time because I told him like I feel that I'm so dead inside, I feel nothing. And then when we
That's
started
when
like
you were
talk,
at your 95%. Sorry, keep talking. I got to get to my dog. So you went when you were at your 95%.
yeah, because it just felt like I'm so dead inside, and all I wanted was like to end my existence in any possible way. And I was even one time I was really close to do it, if it wasn't for my friends that like stopped me very last minute.
Really? It got that to that point? We're
Yeah.
gonna now have to put a suicide trigger warning on here. Thanks. Just kidding.
Um, and so I went to him, and then as we talked more and he got to understand me more, he was like,
Wait, so hold on. So it took you to that point to go to the therapist? You knew you were suffering all along. Family culture probably doesn't, believe in therapy.
yeah, because going to therapy for me was such a huge step, because in my okay, so I had this problem with my dad that he never really approved or supported anything that I did.
Yeah,
He had a
most dads
different
don't.
way and approach of doing things, and he had his own view on life that just didn't resonate with me at all.
Sounds right.
And
Yeah.
so for him, me going to therapy means that I'm crazy.
We're all crazy.
And I feel like for quite a long time, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be like, okay, I'm crazy. So like even the first few times I went, I didn't tell him until it reached the point, and then I was like, okay, maybe he should know that. And um, I remember we had a discussion about it, and then he was like, what's so bad in your life that you want to go to a therapist for? And how could a therapist help you solve your own problems by just talking? It just didn't make any sense to him. And we were fighting about it for a while, and I
Fighting
asked,
about like from keeping you from going, like you don't need it.
yeah,
Yeah, and I get that a lot with my Hispanic clients, my Asian clients, where and we'll have some of those on later too, where it's the same exact thing, same exact thing.
Yeah, he just didn't understand that. Well, like sometimes you just need someone to talk to, and
Well,
it
if you
really
break your
helps.
fucking leg, you're going to go to the doctor. You know, if you're consistently having these, you know, problems and you don't feel good inside for whatever reason, you got to go talk to somebody.
Yeah, exactly. And even I feel like the breaking point was this conversation with him, because I asked him if he would like to know why I'm going to a therapist. And he said yes. And then I told him few reasons why I'm going and
Keep
how
talking.
I feel. And he said that I'm sick. And
You're
then
sick.
I told him that's why I'm going to a therapist. And he didn't know how to respond to that.
But he was trying to say you're sick, like in what way?
That I have problems for seeing things the way I saw it and to feel this way about it.
So he was trying to talk shit to you and he was saying, "Oh, like you're sick," like making fun of you kind of?
Well, he was not making fun. I feel like he meant it in a way that I have problems. And then
Yeah.
I told him basically that's why I'm going to a therapist.
Yeah.
Um,
So then they
so
recommended antidepressants. You didn't want to take them. And again, as I said in my other video, antidepressants can be very helpful. But you know, it's for very severe cases and it can be helpful. But the point is, whatever the trauma is to get you to that point, you have to work on that in whatever way. Like you happen to do it in your way, that may not work for everybody. Antidepressants are good if you really can't go to like manage your day-to-day functions. Like it could have helped you for
yeah,
a while, and people do come off of them. The problem is, I think, why your doctor said that is because when you get off of them a lot of times, and some people do need them forever, but you know, I feel like a lot of people again don't know how much control they have, but they they can get off of them. But the problem with getting off of them is that you have to wean off of them, and then when you get off of them fully, your body, just like with anything else, it's adjusting. So it takes a few months to adjust.
mm,
Sometimes 4 weeks, sometimes maybe 2 to 3 months if you've been on them for a long time. So then
yeah,
when people come off of them, they feel like they can't handle that. So they think they need it because they think that's what their standard is, but it's not. It's still like, because those things, you know, they've been working on your brain chemistry for so long. It needs
mm,
time to detoxify from that. So people just need to be patient. Like once people get stable, I will encourage them. I have a lot of clients on meds, and they come to me that way. And I encourage them to, once they're stable, to see if they can wean off and see what their standard is and see where they're at now, because maybe they don't need it.
yeah, exactly. But I've also like heard from some examples around me that they just kept on taking it forever. And that
And some
one,
people, that's why I think in another video I recently posted too, um, to do the trauma work. Again, we're not, trauma is the word that's not scary. Everybody has it. It's not always beaten abuse. Sometimes it's covert and developmental and, you know, relational, emotional. So you have to treat that, and you can treat that while you're on meds. If you don't want to do meds, you did it more kind of the radical way. That's becoming hopefully less radical over time, because it
yeah,
is it
I
is
really
it is
hope so.
harsher. It is not, harsh isn't the right word. It is more intense. It can be, but you have so much control over dosage.
Mm,
But also, you always have to kind of be careful with everything, right? With everything.
yeah, definitely. Um, so yeah. After that, I went to therapy for a few times, and then I was like, okay, like I feel like I'm in a better place now that I don't really need it. And then I just like started traveling and I met people and I felt closer to myself doing the things that I've always wanted to do.
Which was what? Traveling, and what else? Just
traveling, and during COVID, I discovered my passion for photography.
oh, you have some dope photos. I saw them.
Oh,
You're gonna
thanks.
have to come out here and take some pictures.
Yeah, I would love to. And so, and I feel like the more I read, I felt like, okay, what really helped me as well was like finding something to believe in and working on trusting myself more. And by that, I mean like some people are religious, some people are spiritual. And I would say that I'm more spiritual, and that has been really helpful to me in a way that like I trust that like the universe or God or whatever we're gonna call it is working for me and not against me. Because before I had the mentality of like, oh my God, what did I do in my life for all of these problems to be happening to me? And
So you felt like you were getting punished?
for a long time, yeah, and felt like I was getting punished for something that I didn't know, or for something that was not my mistake, because for so long I was like, okay, I didn't choose to grow up in this or to go through this. So why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
Um, but then when I started to like change these narratives slowly, and I would say that it takes a lot of time and effort. And I
How long would
started.
you say?
Hmm?
How long would you say it took for you to take? I'm trying to ask the questions I think people want to ask.
Yeah, so
How long would you say it took for you to notice a noticeable difference after you noticed, after you became aware, right? Because I always say awareness and presence.
mm,
So tell me about that. How long after you became aware would you say you started to notice a little bit more shift and less intensity or something?
I think it started 2 years ago when after this trip to Europe, especially, and I could really see the change earlier this year, especially after my breakup. I could really feel the difference even, and comparing how I handled things after this breakup with my previous breakups, and how I like managed to like shift this energy in a more of like hopeful, useful direction instead of like crying in my room. For me, I was like, that was
Can we
like,
talk a little bit about that, about breakups? Because I feel like I can talk to anybody who's going through a breakup right after, when it's obviously devastating. And they can all give me the same exact heartbreak. You know, it feels so bad. They can't see themselves with anyone else and they're just
yeah,
like dying inside.
yeah, I wouldn't lie and say that didn't happen, because like as I said before, for me it was like the very first time I feel like seen and loved for who I am, and I wasn't scared of opening up. Maybe I was before, but once I did it, I was like, okay, I want to open up more and more and more.
And
And
all of those experiences you had helped you get there slowly, you would say?
yeah, exactly. And when like this breakup happened, I feel like it was so intense, because for me it didn't feel like it was just like that I lost a partner or like someone that I love, but also because of how I felt so connected to this family and all the feelings of like belonging and acceptance by people that like are treating me as one of them. And like even a direction in life, because it was a long distance relationship, and I was like working and planning everything to like leave my home country and move there. And I was like, okay, it sounds like perfect. I have a partner, I have a family, I wouldn't feel so on my own, and all of these things that people usually get scared of. And so when I had this breakup, it felt like um, my whole life was being shattered right in front of my eyes. And like what really helped me was grieving. I allowed myself to grieve. I allowed myself to like cry and yell and scream. And I wasn't, for the first time, I wasn't ashamed of doing that. And I didn't feel the pressure of like, I should hide it. Like, luckily, the people around me were so supportive. They were always there for me. They gave me exactly what I needed. And I'm so grateful for that. And then I just had to wait. And it also gave me more space and time to be more aware of how I feel, my patterns, the narratives that I have. And the more that I try to change my habits and journaling and
Yeah,
like
what are some of those daily habits before we go? Tell the people.
so you mainly it's like I try to journal every day. I try to be, so used to be like a heavy smoker before. Now I almost quit, like not totally,
Nice.
but
Congratulations.
thank you. And reading because it's been really helpful. And I would say music really helped me as well. Um, and setting my priorities, chasing the things that I want, and like having a clear goals that I want to achieve and working on.
Clarifying your goals. A little bit about the difference of your, because we were talking about yesterday about belonging,
Yeah.
how you went from really not belonging and then, because I feel like a lot of people want that sense of belonging and all they need is a little bit of purpose and to go and explore themselves with random activities or passions or interests or arts or whatever. There's so many things. I always say the same 5 things because I can't think of everything.
Mm.
But there's so much, and people need to just go to their local whatever they have and see.
Yeah, I feel like what I see around me a lot is like how people only stick to what they know and what others are doing.
What's
And
comfortable, which is kind of like a protective tribal thing, right? It's like stay near so you can whatever. But now we have the luxury of not having to do that. We don't have to
yeah,
be in the
exactly.
tribe we're
And
born. We can venture out.
exactly. And if you think about it, like it doesn't really make sense because everyone has their own journey, everyone has their own path, and it just doesn't make sense that you find 1,000 or 1,000,000 people going the same path. Like it makes so much sense that it wouldn't work for everyone and all of them. And I feel like that's why a lot of people are suffering from that because they want to do something different, but they are so afraid of being judged or failing or not making it or losing their security. But for me, I think of it as a trade off like, yeah, you wouldn't feel secure, but you will be rewarded in some other ways.
Well, any final thoughts before we go?
Um,
You were the first guest from actual free world therapy on my free world therapy. I
yeah.
mean, I had my neighbor yesterday, but I know her. So you're the first person. I guess I kind of know you, right? Kind of, but not
Yeah,
really. Not, but kind of.
a
So
little bit.
Thank you for coming and sharing your story. I'm sure a lot of people are going to resonate with it all over the world. So
Yeah. Thank you so much
we'll
for
see.
giving
If
me the
people want to,
opportunity.
it's my pleasure. If people want to talk to you again, you'll come and answer some questions for them.
Oh yeah, for sure. Anytime.
All right. Another song for today, or do you want the same one that you had
Um,
on the outro?
yeah, I think the same one.
Okay. And where is it? Here it is. All right, guys. This was Karim. He shared his story with us so nicely. He speaks so well and nice and tells a good story. Thank you.
Thank
Even
you.
though we missed our yesterdays.
Yeah.
Here's his song.
I really hope he gets to see this episode so he knows how much his music has been.
Hey, none of that. I'm just kidding. No, I know. I'm going to start doing some song stuff too and have people come in and talk about their songs that really, because when you don't have nothing, sometimes you can really fall into a song.
Yeah.
For certain periods. So I'm going to try to do a segment about that. You can come back and break it down.
Yeah, for sure. I can make a whole playlist.
All right, guys, that was Karim. Tomorrow, or I don't know what day, I'm going to have somebody from Europe, actually. Belgium, I think. We'll see. So let me know if you guys want to be on. And I'm also supporting of my comedians that I want to get on here. You guys can be either on video, or you could be anonymous on the phone, or you could be like Karim here, whatever you want. Good night and Godspeed. I don't know. What do you say? Fuck.
تصبح على خير.
How do you? I was gonna say, how do you say goodbye in your language? Isn't it Khuda Hafiz anyway? It's like ours.
تصبح على خير is more like good night.
Say it again.
تصبحوا على خير.
That's a lot of bahahiz. Do it again.
تصبحوا على خير.
God damn. Bas bakhil balakhir.
Yeah, that's close.
No, that was terrible. People have ruined my Persian name my whole life, so I should know better. Give it to me in two parts. I'm not gonna go. I'm not going out like that. I'm not going out like that. Okay, go.
تصبحوا.
Tasbah. No, I can't hear on this stupid Mac trash can. Go.
تصبحوا.
Tasbahu.
على
Hala.
خير.
Khair. Tasbahu. Hala khair.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Karim. See y'all later.